Welcome to Simply Mindful. I am Maya, and today we are embarking on a profound journey into the inner workings of human potential. Have you ever found yourself so deeply immersed in an activity that the rest of the world simply fades away? A moment where your sense of self dissolves, time becomes elastic, and every action flows seamlessly into the next with effortless precision? This extraordinary experience is what psychologists and neuroscientists refer to as flow state. It is the pinnacle of human performance, a mental sanctuary where our biological capabilities align perfectly with our cognitive intentions. Today, I want to deconstruct this phenomenon, moving beyond the surface level descriptions to understand the intricate neural architecture that allows us to access this high level functioning, much like an Olympic athlete or a world class genius. To truly grasp the mechanics of flow, imagine your latent potential as a dormant volcano within your subconscious, a reservoir of immense creative energy, waiting for the precise tectonic shift to erupt. However, this eruption isn't accidental. It requires a delicate equilibrium known as the challenge-skills balance. Think of it as walking a tightrope across a vast canyon. If the rope is too low and the path too easy, the brain becomes understimulated, leading to a state of cognitive lethargy or boredom. Conversely, if the rope is too thin and the wind too strong, representing a task that far exceeds your current abilities, the nervous system is flooded with cortisol, triggering anxiety and a paralyzing fear of failure. The sweet spot of flow exists at the intersection of high challenge and high skill. It is that precise threshold where the task is demanding enough to require your absolute presence, yet manageable enough that your competence can rise to meet the occasion. This is the gateway to the optimal experience. But what is actually happening within the gray matter of our brain when we cross this threshold? The neurobiology of flow is nothing short of miraculous. One of the most counterintuitive aspects is a process called transient hypofrontality. Under normal circumstances, our prefrontal cortex, PFC, the brain's CEO, is hyperactive. It is responsible for complex analysis, long-term planning, and most notably, the inner critic that constantly judges our performance and fuels our insecurities. When we enter a state of flow, the brain strategically powers down or deactivates parts of the PFC. This temporary cessation of high-level conscious processing is why we lose our sense of self-consciousness. We stop overthinking, we stop doubting, we transition from a state of doing to a state of being. Much like a dancer who no longer thinks about the individual steps but becomes the dance itself, or an athlete whose body reacts with instinctive, autonomous precision before the conscious mind can even register the stimulus. As the prefrontal cortex slows its activity, the brain transforms into a high-performance chemical laboratory. This is the golden minute, where a sophisticated neurochemical cocktail is released, functioning like a perfectly synchronized orchestra. First, we have dopamine. This is the molecule of motivation and reward, sharpening our focus and heightening our pattern recognition capabilities, making us eager to pursue the goal. Then, norepinephrine floods the system, increasing our arousal, cardiac output, and tactical alertness. It keeps us locked in to the task at hand. We also see the emergence of anandamide, often called the bliss molecule. Beyond just making us feel good, anandamide enhances lateral thinking, allowing the brain to make novel connections between disparate ideas, which is the cornerstone of creative breakthroughs. To ensure we can endure the physical or mental strain, the brain releases endorphins, our natural internal opiates that mask pain and suppress fatigue. And finally, as we emerge from the flow, serotonin leaves us with a profound sense of afterglow, a feeling of peace, fulfillment, and deep satisfaction with our accomplishment. It is crucial to understand that flow is not a matter of luck or a random stroke of genius. It is a biological state that can be cultivated through intentional triggers. According to the foundational research in this field, two primary conditions must be met for flow to manifest. First, you must have clear goals. There can be no ambiguity. Your nervous system needs to know exactly what the objective is at every micro moment. Without a clear target, the mind wanders and the focus merge cannot occur. Second, you require immediate feedback. Much like an archer who knows instantly whether the arrow hit the bullseye, your brain needs a tight feedback loop to adjust its performance in real time. This allows for the interoceptive awareness to guide your actions without the need for conscious intervention. The encouraging news is that flow is a trainable skill. By engineering our environment and our habits, we can prime our nervous system to access this state more frequently. Start by identifying tasks that are approximately 4% beyond your current skill level, just enough to trigger the release of focus chemicals without causing a stress response. Furthermore, you must ruthlessly eliminate distractions. In our modern world of digital noise, the prefrontal cortex is constantly being hijacked by notifications and interruptions. To enter the deep waters of flow, you must create a sanctuary of focus. Establish pre-flow rituals, small, consistent signals to your brain that it is time to transition into deep work. Whether it's a specific breathing exercise, a particular piece of music, or a clean workspace, these triggers help the brain build a neural pathway to the flow state. Remember, consistency is key. Research suggests that engaging in flow-inducing activities just 2 to 3 times a week can fundamentally rewire your brain's efficiency. Flow is more than just a productivity hack. It is a way to find deep meaning and intrinsic reward in the very act of living. When we look deeper into the essence of flow, we begin to realize that its significance transcends mere productivity or the rapid completion of a checklist. The core message I want to convey through Simply Mindful is that flow is a transformative experience where you effectively disappear into the activity you love. This is the manifestation of pure intrinsic motivation. You are no longer performing for external validation, financial gain, or social accolades. Instead, the act of doing becomes its own reward. In this state, your biological systems are in complete harmony, and your sense of time is dictated not by the clock, but by the rhythm of your own engagement. Now, what happens when we find ourselves disconnected from this state? Or perhaps a more frustrating question, what if you are trying too hard to get there? This brings us to a critical concept in neurobiology known as the paradox of effort. You see, the very act of wanting or striving to enter flow can act as a cognitive barrier. When you consciously obsess over reaching a flow state, you are inadvertently overstimulating the prefrontal cortex, the very part of the brain we need to deactivate through transient hypofrontality. By constantly checking, am I in flow yet? You are maintaining a self-evaluative loop that prevents the seamless merger of action and awareness. The professional recommendation for such moments is to practice what we call radical surrender. Stop trying and start listening. This involves a heightened state of somatic awareness and interoception. Instead of forcing focus, turn your attention inward and listen to the physiological cues of your body. Ask yourself, what task is naturally pulling my interest right now? What challenge is perfectly calibrated to my current skill level? Once you identify that intersection, you must let go of the attachment to the outcome. Just execute. Engage with the present moment with a sense of relaxed alertness. Focus on the micro movements of the task at hand. By narrowing your attention to the immediate sensory data, you bypass the analytical filters of the brain and allow the neurochemical cascade to take over naturally. As we approach the conclusion of today's exploration, there is a profound takeaway regarding our neurochemistry that I want you to reflect upon. We have discussed dopamine as the driver of reward and expectation. However, we must consider the dopamine baseline, the resting level of dopamine in your nervous system. In our modern era, our baselines are often distorted by high stimulation environments, social media loops, and chronic stress. This raises a sophisticated question for the Simply Mindful community. If your baseline dopamine is chronically elevated or depleted, how does that fundamentally alter your flow threshold? This complexity suggests that achieving flow isn't just about what you do in the moment of performance, but how you manage your nervous system regulation throughout your entire life. It requires a commitment to mental hygiene and neurological balance. Our deep dive into the flow state for today must come to an end, but the journey of practice continues. I hope these insights into the brain's mountain of potential empower you to seek out those moments of seamless alignment in your own life. Thank you for tuning in and for your dedication to growth and mindfulness. This is Maya from Simply Mindful, signing off. Stay focused, stay present, and until next time, keep flowing. Goodbye.